Ethan had always dreamed of traveling beyond Earth, of seeing worlds that no human had ever walked on. Now, standing on the smooth, silver surface of Xylaria, he could hardly believe it was real. The sky shimmered with 3 suns, casting soft golden light across mountains that glowed with bioluminescent plants. It was beautiful, almost magical, and yet Ethan knew he had a mission, one that carried the weight of all human civilization on his shoulders. The palace of the alien queen rose in the center of the capital city, a towering structure of crystal and metal. Its walls seemed alive, changing colors as if the building itself breathed. Guards, sleek and armored in shining metal exoskeletons, moved with precision and alertness. Ethan's human instincts felt small here, tiny compared to the alien precision that surrounded him. He had been invited to meet the queen for a ceremonial visit. Humans had long thought of aliens as distant and unknowable, but diplomacy demanded courage, and Ethan was courageous, or at least he hoped he was. The throne room was massive, almost impossibly large, with high ceilings that seemed to disappear into the sky. Light streamed through translucent panels, illuminating the polished floor. At the center sat the alien queen, a figure of grace and power. Her skin shimmered like polished metal, her eyes deep and golden, filled with a sharp intelligence that seemed to pierce through every thought. She wore a crown that floated above her head, held not by metal or cloth but by some strange energy. "Welcome, Ethan of Earth," the queen's voice echoed, melodic and commanding at once. "We have watched your species for many cycles. You are interesting," Ethan bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored to be here." The queen's gaze shifted and Ethan followed it. That was when he saw her daughter. She was standing slightly behind the queen, small and pale compared to her mother. Her skin had a soft luminescence like moonlight reflecting on water. Her eyes were wide and curious, yet sad, as if she had seen far too much disappointment for her young age. Her hair floated gently even though there was no wind. She didn't wear armor or jewels like her mother, just a simple garment of light fabric, plain and unadorned. "This," the queen said, "is Leora, my daughter." Ethan bowed again, unsure what was expected, but then the queen spoke in a tone that made his blood run cold. "She will accompany you to your world. Consider her a gift." Ethan froze. A gift. He had expected alien artifacts, maybe rare minerals or technology, but a living being, a child, his mind raced. Was this some kind of test? A trap? Your Majesty, I'm honored, but I cannot. "Do not refuse," the queen interrupted, her tone final. "She has been neglected. She has seen little love. Let her learn of humans. Let her learn freedom." Leora took a small step forward. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Please, I do not want to go alone." Ethan's heart clenched. She looked fragile, but there was something in her eyes that made him pause, something that spoke of untapped strength, of quiet intelligence. She was not just a child. She was someone who had endured a life that even he could not imagine. He nodded slowly. "Very well. I will care for her." The queen's lips curved into a faint smile. "See that you do. And know this, she is more than she appears. Treat her kindly, human, or the consequences will be unpleasant." Ethan swallowed hard. He had faced danger before, but the weight of responsibility was different. This was not just a diplomatic mission anymore. It was personal. The journey to his ship was tense. Leora followed closely, her small hand brushing against Ethan's arm for comfort. She did not speak much, but her eyes never left his. There was a quiet understanding between them, an unspoken trust forming in that short walk. Once aboard the human ship, Ethan tried to explain things to her. "We will travel through space to Earth. You'll see forests, oceans, mountains. Humans are not all the same, but most are kind." Leora nodded slowly. "Do humans really care for others? Even strangers?" Ethan smiled. "We try. And sometimes we surprise even ourselves." The flight was long, and during it, Ethan observed her closely. She was curious, touching every surface with gentle fingers, asking questions in soft, deliberate tones. She was intelligent, far beyond what he expected, yet there was an innocence about her that made him protective. Finally, after what felt like endless hours, they approached Earth. Ethan's heart lifted. There was comfort in seeing the blue planet alive and vibrant. But Leora's expression was different. She stared with wide eyes, not at the beauty, but at the life teeming below. Birds, rivers, people moving about cities. It was all so unfamiliar, yet fascinating. As they landed in a human settlement designed for interstellar visitors, Ethan guided her out. "This is home. You're home for now." Children stared at Leora, some in awe, some in fear. Adults whispered among themselves. Ethan could sense the skepticism, the unspoken question, "What kind of alien child is this?" But Leora did not falter. She stepped forward, head held high, eyes bright with curiosity. She smiled faintly at a small child who had wandered too close. The child smiled back, and for the first time, she laughed, a sound so pure that Ethan felt a wave of relief. Days passed, and Ethan taught her simple human ways, eating with utensils, walking in crowded streets, speaking different languages. Leora absorbed everything quickly, far faster than any human child. But there was more to her than learning skills. She asked about feelings, kindness, choices. "Why do humans hurt each other?" she asked one evening as they watched the sunset from a hill. "Sometimes we are afraid," Ethan replied honestly. "Sometimes we forget what is right. But we can also be brave, and we can choose kindness." Leora thought for a long moment. "I want to learn that. I want to be brave." Ethan realized then that her gift was not just hers, it was also for him. She was teaching him patience, compassion, and hope. One night as they rested, Leora shared her story. Her mother, the queen, had been so focused on ruling and power that she rarely noticed her daughter. Leora had grown up feeling invisible, her accomplishments ignored, her feelings dismissed. She was a princess in title only, with no love to call her own. Ethan listened, his heart heavy. He had seen loneliness before, but this was different. This was the loneliness of someone born into power but denied its warmth. And yet Leora was not bitter. She was simply curious if there was more to life than neglect, if there was a place where she could belong. "You belong here," Ethan said softly. "With humans. You can learn, explore, and grow. You can choose who you want to be." Leora smiled faintly, a mix of hope and uncertainty. "And what about my mother?" Ethan shook his head. "She will always be your mother, but you don't have to let her define you." As the nights passed, Leora began to thrive. She learned to laugh, to play, to speak boldly. Her alien abilities, subtle at first, started to show. She could sense when someone was in danger. She could intuit solutions to problems no human could solve, and she had an uncanny way of bringing peace where there was chaos. Ethan watched her amazed. The gift he had expected to be a burden was becoming a blessing, not just for him but for all humans she encountered. But as he marveled at her growth, a thought niggled at the back of his mind. The queen had said she was more than she appeared. What did that mean? And what would happen when the queen realized just how much Leora had changed under human care? Ethan did not know. But for now he focused on the present. A girl who had been neglected, finding her place in a world full of wonder. A girl who, despite everything, was beginning to shine. And in that moment, Ethan realized something he had never truly understood before. Humans were capable of nurturing greatness even in the most unlikely beings. And sometimes, that greatness could shock the universe itself. The sun rose over the human settlement, casting warm light on streets bustling with life. Children laughed as they ran through parks. Merchants called out their goods and vehicles hummed quietly along smooth roads. For Leora, every detail of Earth was new and fascinating. Even the smallest things, a bird perched on a tree, a child skipping rope, a dog wagging its tail, made her eyes widen with wonder. Ethan walked beside her, smiling at her excitement. "Earth is full of surprises," he said. "And there's a lot to learn too, but we'll take it slowly." Leora nodded, her pale hair catching the sunlight. "I want to understand everything," she said softly. Her voice carried a mix of curiosity and determination. "I want to know how humans live, how they feel, why they do the things they do." Ethan laughed lightly. "That's a big goal. But you're smart. I think you can do it." They began by visiting the local school, a place designed for both human children and beings from other worlds. The children stared at Leora as she walked in, her delicate alien features, glowing skin, and wide golden eyes capturing their attention. Some whispered, some pointed, and some even hid behind their friends. Ethan knelt beside Leora. "Don't be afraid. Most humans are kind. They're just curious when they see something new." Leora looked at the children and gave a small, polite smile. To Ethan's surprise, some of the children smiled back. Soon a few brave ones approached her. asking questions about her home, her powers, and even her hair that floated slightly in the air. As the days passed, Leora began to show abilities Ethan had not expected. She could understand complicated problems almost instantly. During a science class, when students struggled with a puzzle involving energy circuits, she solved it within seconds and explained it in a simple, logical way that even the teacher admired. Ethan watched her with a mixture of awe and concern. "You're incredible," he said one evening as they walked home. "But you need to be careful. Not everyone will understand your abilities right away." "I know," Leora replied, "but I want to help. Humans are kind when you give them a chance. I want to make their lives better, even in small ways." Her curiosity extended beyond knowledge. She asked questions about human emotions, why humans laughed, cried, or fought. Ethan found himself explaining things he had never thought deeply about. "We fight when we are afraid," he said one night as they watched stars. "But we love because we hope for something better, and we help because we know it makes life meaningful." Leora listened intently. "I want to help," she said quietly. "I do not want to fight. I want to learn to make things better." One day, news arrived that a sudden storm had damaged part of the settlement. Trees had fallen, roads were blocked, and some homes were flooded. Humans rushed to help, but the scale of the disaster was larger than anything they had faced before. Ethan and Leora ran to the affected area. Leora's golden eyes scanned the damage, her small hands glowing faintly as she sensed danger. "People are trapped here," she said urgently. She pointed toward a collapsed building. Without hesitation, she ran forward. Ethan followed closely, heart pounding. He had never seen a human or any being move with such precision and awareness. Leora lifted debris with her mind, created temporary bridges of energy to help people escape, and calmed terrified children by holding their hands and speaking softly. When the storm finally passed, the human settlement had been saved from greater disaster. People stared at Leora in awe. They whispered among themselves, who was this child? How could she do such things? Ethan stood beside her, pride swelling in his chest. "You're remarkable," he said softly. "They'll remember what you did today." Leora shook her head, a small smile on her lips. "I just want to help. I do not want to be famous. I want to be useful." But it was impossible to ignore her now. Humans began to see that she was not just a curious alien child. She was someone with abilities that could change the world. And in her quiet way, she inspired people to be better, to cooperate, and to trust each other. Even Ethan noticed how much Leora had changed. When she first arrived, she was timid, unsure of herself. Now she held herself with quiet confidence. Her thoughts were clear, her heart kind, and her mind sharp. But there was one thing she had not yet realized. She had the power to surprise even the most advanced civilizations. One evening, Ethan and Leora sat on a hill overlooking the settlement. The sky was painted with shades of pink and purple as the sun set. Leora stared at the horizon, deep in thought. "Ethan," she said slowly, "I feel stronger, not just in my body or my abilities, but here." She touched her chest gently. "I feel like I can do more than I ever imagined." Ethan smiled. "You can. You're learning about humans, about yourself, about what it means to be brave and kind." Leora nodded. "And I want to help more people, but what if my mother finds out what I can do? She might be angry." Ethan's expression grew serious. "Your mother, the Queen, she is very powerful. And yes, she might not like it if she sees you using your abilities in ways she did not plan, but right now you're safe, and you're making a difference." The next morning, an unexpected event tested Leora's courage. A small group of alien scouts arrived from Xylaria, sent by the Queen to observe her daughter. They were imposing, with sharp features and metallic armor that glowed under the suns. Humans panicked, unsure if the visitors were a threat. Ethan stepped forward. "We are not here to fight. Let us talk." The leader of the scouts regarded him coolly. "We are here for the child. Your human protection is irrelevant." Leora stepped forward herself, her small figure glowing faintly with energy. "I am not your prisoner," she said firmly. Her voice, soft but steady, carried an authority that surprised everyone, including Ethan. The scouts hesitated. None had ever seen such confidence from a child, and certainly not from one human raised. Leora's presence radiated calm intelligence and courage, and it unnerved them. "I belong with humans," she continued. "I am learning kindness, bravery, and cooperation. I will not be taken back just because you wish it. Ethan watched, amazed. Leora had become more than a child. She was a force in her own right. The scouts, realizing that this was not a fight they could win easily, withdrew, leaving the settlement unharmed. After they left, Ethan turned to her. "That was incredible. You didn't just protect yourself, you protected everyone here." Leora's golden eyes shone. "I do not want to hurt anyone. I want to show that humans and aliens can be friends." As the days went on, the bond between Ethan and Leora grew stronger. They trained together, explored nearby forests and rivers, and shared stories of Earth and Zalaria. Leora learned to cook simple human meals, enjoyed listening to music, and even tried painting, creating shapes and colors no human child had thought of before. But it was not just learning. It was teaching too. Leora began to help humans see solutions to problems they could not solve. She showed engineers better ways to design energy systems, taught children creative ways to work together, and helped farmers improve their crops with her alien knowledge. Ethan realized that the Queen's gift had been more than just a challenge. It was an opportunity. Leora was bridging worlds, showing that humans' compassion and courage, combined with her alien abilities, could accomplish things that no single species could achieve alone. And yet, as he watched her play with children under the suns, Ethan knew the real test had not yet come. The Queen had warned that Leora was more than she appeared. What exactly that meant, he did not know. But one thing was certain. Humans and aliens were about to witness a change they had never imagined. And it all began with a neglected daughter finding her place in a human world. For the first time in her life, Leora felt not fear or sadness, but excitement. She felt like she could truly make a difference, and she was ready to discover just how far she could go. The morning sun rose over the human settlement, painting the streets in gold and orange. Leora had spent another night learning, playing, and exploring, and her bond with Ethan had grown stronger. She laughed freely, helped the children with their studies, and even began teaching them some of her alien knowledge in small, gentle ways. But peace never lasted long. A sudden vibration ran through the settlement. Ethan's communicator crackled urgently. "Ethan, you need to see this," the voice said. He glanced at Leora, who was kneeling beside a group of children drawing patterns in the dirt. Her glowing eyes reflected calm, but something in her expression warned him that trouble was coming. Ethan activated his communicator and saw the image of the alien queen herself, her golden eyes glowing brighter than ever. "Ethan of Earth," her voice rang, both beautiful and terrifying. "You have taken my daughter under your care. You have taught her your ways. I warned you, she is more than she appears. Return her immediately, or face consequences that will challenge your species' abilities to endure." Ethan took a deep breath. "Your Majesty, Leora is learning compassion, courage, and cooperation. She is growing and she is safe here. I will not return her simply because you demand it." The Queen's gaze sharpened and the image shimmered. "You overestimate your species, human. She is mine by birth. You will see the consequences of your defiance." The communication ended, leaving silence in its wake. Leora looked at Ethan, her eyes wide. "What does she mean, consequences?" she asked. Ethan's jaw tightened. "She means she is sending someone." "Something. We need to be ready." Before he could finish, alarms rang throughout the settlement. The ground trembled, and a fleet of ships descended from the sky. Sleek black vessels with sharp edges and glowing red lights hovered above, sending a clear message. The Queen's elite guardians had arrived. Humans panicked, unsure how to respond. Ethan stepped forward, shielding Leora. "Everyone stay calm," he commanded. "We can handle this if we work together." The guardians landed with precision. Alien soldiers, taller and stronger than humans, emerged from the ships. Their armor shone with metallic energy, and their eyes glowed with the same intensity as their queens. They moved as one, perfectly coordinated, every step calculated to show power. The leader of the Guardians approached Ethan. "You have harbored a child that is not yours to protect. Surrender her and no harm will come to your species. Resist and you will regret it." Ethan stood firm. "Leora is not a weapon or a possession. She is a person and she deserves freedom. You will not take her from us." Leora stepped beside Ethan, her small figure glowing faintly. "I am not yours to command," she said softly, but her voice carried an authority that made even the Guardians pause. "I will not go back unless I choose to. I belong with those who care for me." The guardians hesitated, sensing the power within her. They had been trained to obey, but Leora's aura of calm and determination was unlike anything they had encountered. Ethan knew they could not fight them head-on. "Leora, can you do it?" he asked quietly. She nodded. "I can try, but we must protect everyone." Together they devised a plan. Using her abilities, Leora created subtle energy fields to protect humans from harm, while Ethan coordinated human engineers to set up barriers and diversions. It was a delicate balance of human ingenuity and alien power. The Guardians advanced, but every attempt to breach the settlement was met with clever resistance. Humans, inspired by Leora's courage, worked together like never before, using their tools, machines, and minds to support her efforts. Hours passed in tense silence, punctuated by bursts of action. Leora moved with astonishing speed and precision, guiding humans to safety, deflecting attacks, and disarming traps the Guardians set. Ethan watched, amazed, as the girl who had once been shy and timid now radiated confidence and skill beyond any human or alien he had ever seen. Finally, the leader of the Guardians called a halt. "She is stronger than expected. We will retreat for now." Ethan let out a breath he had been holding. Leora's small hand brushed against his arm. "We did it," she whispered, though her eyes still reflected concern. Ethan nodded. "For now. But this is only the beginning. Your mother will not give up easily." That night they sat atop the hill overlooking the settlement. The suns had set and stars twinkled above. Leora looked thoughtful. "I never knew I could be like this," she said softly. "I never knew I had strength." "You always had it," Ethan replied. "You just needed a chance to show it. And to learn that strength is not just about power. It's about compassion, courage, and protecting others." Leora nodded. "I want to use it to help humans. I want to show my mother that she was wrong about me." Ethan smiled. "Then we'll show her together. Not by fighting, but by proving that humans and aliens can work together." The next day, word spread of Leora's defense of the settlement. Humans were inspired, and even nearby alien colonies took notice. Leora's presence was becoming more than a personal story. It was a symbol of hope, courage, and cooperation. But Ethan knew the Queen would escalate her response. She had already sent her elite guardians. Next, she might come herself. Leora, despite her powers, had to be prepared for challenges far greater than she had faced before. In the days that followed, Ethan and Leora trained. She honed her abilities, learning to control her energy fields more precisely, to sense danger before it arrived, and to anticipate the movements of others. Ethan taught her human tactics, strategies, planning, and quick thinking, while she combined them with her alien instincts. During this time, Leora began forming bonds with humans beyond the settlement. Children admired her, adults respected her, and leaders consulted her for advice. She began understanding human emotions not just through observation, but by experiencing them. Trust, fear, hope, and courage. One afternoon, a small group of children asked her to help them build a playground. Leora smiled and agreed, lifting heavy beams with ease and guiding the children in constructing structures safely. The humans laughed as she carefully placed each piece, and for a moment it seemed as though nothing could harm them. But the peace was short-lived. A sudden alert warned of a ship approaching from Zilaria, larger than any vessel they had seen before, radiating energy that made the settlement tremble. Ethan and Leora knew instantly. The Queen herself was coming. Ethan turned to Leora. "This is it. Are you ready?" Leora's golden eyes shone with determination. "I am ready. I will protect them. I will show my mother that love and courage are stronger than fear and power." As the Queen's massive ship descended, casting a shadow over the settlement, humans and aliens alike watched in awe. Leora stood at the forefront, calm and resolute. She did not need to shout or fight recklessly. Her presence alone inspired courage. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Together," he said. Leora nodded, her energy glowing brighter than ever. Together, the Queen's ship landed with thunderous force. Her image appeared across the settlement, her golden eyes scanning every corner. "Leora," she said, her voice carrying across the air, "you defy me. You disobey your mother. You will regret this." Leora stepped forward. "No, Mother. I will not. I choose to protect those who care for me. I choose kindness, courage, and love. And I will not let fear control me." The Queen's expression hardened. Then you leave me no choice." Ethan felt the tension tighten like a wire around his chest. The Queen's energy was immense, enough to destroy the settlement if she wished. But Leora did not falter. She raised her hands, focusing her energy into protective shields, guiding humans to safety and preparing for the confrontation she had long dreaded. It was the first real test, not just of power, but of strategy, courage, and unity. And for the first time, humans and aliens saw the true potential of what they could achieve together, under the guidance of a girl who had once been neglected, now standing tall and unafraid. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the land, the stage was set. The Queen had come, the Guardians had tested them, and Leora had discovered her true strength. The battle ahead would be one of wits, courage, and heart, not just for Leora, but for Ethan, the humans, and the very future of interstellar friendship, and Leora was ready. The weeks following the Queen's warning were unlike anything Ethan or Leora had experienced. Humans and aliens alike had watched Leora stand against the Queen's forces, and the story of her courage spread quickly across nearby settlements and planets. Children whispered her name with admiration, adults discussed her bravery with respect, and alien visitors observed her carefully, amazed at the combination of compassion, intelligence, and power she displayed. For Leora, life had changed completely. She was no longer the quiet, timid girl who had arrived in Ethan's care. She had grown confident, brave, and aware of her abilities in ways even she had not imagined. Yet she remained kind, curious, and eager to learn. One morning, Ethan approached her with a message from a nearby alien colony. "They want to meet you," he said. "They've heard about your actions during the Guardians' attack. They want to see if humans and aliens can cooperate under your guidance." Leora tilted her head, golden eyes bright with curiosity. "Cooperate, you mean? Work together?" "Yes," Ethan said. "They want to see if we can solve problems peacefully without fighting." Excited and determined, Leora agreed. Together, she and Ethan traveled to the alien colony. It was a sprawling city built on floating islands connected by bridges of energy and light. The aliens there were cautious at first, but Leora's calm presence and willingness to listen immediately captured their attention. Over the next few days, Leora led discussions and small projects, teaching humans and aliens to share resources, communicate clearly, and respect each other's ideas. At first, some aliens doubted her, seeing her youth and human upbringing as weaknesses, but Leora remained patient, encouraging, and intelligent in her approach. She solved disputes between alien engineers and human scientists, demonstrating that collaboration could achieve what conflict never could. "See," she said one afternoon, showing a group of humans and aliens how to combine their energy systems efficiently. "If we work together, we can create something stronger than either of us alone." The group watched in awe as energy flowed seamlessly between human and alien devices, lighting the city in colors none had imagined. Cheers erupted, and even the skeptical aliens could not hide their amazement. Back in the human settlement, news of Leora's accomplishments reached the Queen. She watched silently from Xylaria, her golden eyes sharp and unreadable. Something stirred within her, curiosity perhaps, or even a hint of pride, but she refused to show it openly. Leora's actions were changing perceptions across galaxies, and the Queen realized her daughter was becoming more than just a neglected child. She was becoming a leader. One day, while exploring the forests near the human settlement, Leora noticed a group of humans struggling to repair a bridge that had been damaged during a recent storm. The bridge connected several villages, and its destruction had made travel dangerous. Leora stepped forward, offering her help. "I can do it," she said confidently, "but we will need everyone to work together." Under her guidance, humans and a few alien allies began repairing the bridge. Leora's energy abilities allowed her to lift heavy beams and stabilize structures, while her instructions helped organize the group efficiently. Children, adults, and even elders followed her guidance, learning the value of teamwork and cooperation. By evening, the bridge was not only repaired, but improved, stronger than it had ever been before. The villagers celebrated, cheering for Leora and Ethan. For the first time, Leora felt the weight of her influence, not as a child under someone else's rule, but as someone who could inspire and guide others. Ethan watched her with pride. "You've grown so much," he said. "I always knew you had strength, but now you're showing what that strength can do for everyone around you." Leora smiled, a faint glow surrounding her. I want to do more. There is so much to help with, so much to teach, and so much to learn. Her growth did not go unnoticed. Children from different settlements began visiting her, wanting to learn, play, and explore. Humans and aliens alike sought her advice on problems ranging from energy management to communication disputes. She became a bridge, literally and metaphorically, between species that had once feared each other. But not everyone was pleased. Some alien leaders whispered concerns, worried that Leora's influence was changing traditions too quickly. Others feared that humans might become too powerful with her guidance. Yet despite these doubts, she continued her work with quiet determination, proving through action that cooperation was stronger than fear. One afternoon, Leora and Ethan received an urgent message. A border conflict had erupted between two alien civilizations on a nearby planet. The fighting threatened thousands of lives, and both sides were refusing to negotiate. Leora saw an opportunity. "We can help them," she said. "We can show them that conflict is not the only solution." Ethan nodded. "It will be dangerous, but I believe in you." With careful planning, Leora traveled to the planet with a small team of humans and aliens. She met with the leaders of both civilizations, listening patiently as they argued and blamed each other for years of tension. Instead of taking sides, she asked questions, encouraged dialogue, and demonstrated ways they could share resources and solve problems together. Hours passed, and slowly, the tension began to ease. Leora suggested a joint project, an energy station that would benefit both civilizations. Her calm presence and logical reasoning allowed the leaders to see that cooperation could lead to mutual growth, rather than destruction. By nightfall, an agreement was reached. The fighting stopped and the leaders shook hands, an unprecedented act that no one had expected. Leora had not only prevented violence but had created a foundation for lasting peace. Ethan watched in awe. "You did it," he said. "You really did it," Leora smiled softly. "We did it. Humans and aliens together. That is the power of unity." Back on Earth, the news of Leora's success spread rapidly. Humans began to understand that aliens were not just powerful beings to fear, but beings who could work alongside them. And aliens saw that humans were capable of courage, intelligence, and compassion that could match or even surpass their own. Even the Queen continued to watch, silently observing her daughter from Zelaria. Each success Leora achieved forced the Queen to reconsider her judgments. Perhaps she had been wrong about what strength truly meant. Perhaps neglect had not defined Leora at all. One evening, as Ethan and Leora returned to the settlement, children ran to greet her. They brought small gifts, flowers, drawings, and trinkets. Leora accepted them all, smiling, her golden eyes glowing warmly. She had become more than a child or a gift. She had become a symbol. Ethan whispered as they walked back to their home. "You're changing the galaxy, Leora. You're showing everyone what humans and aliens can achieve when they work together." Leora looked at him thoughtfully. "I want to keep helping. There is so much more to do. I want to teach kindness, bravery, and cooperation. I want to prove that we can make the universe better." Ethan smiled. "And you will. You're already showing it. Just remember, even leaders need rest sometimes." Leora laughed softly. "I will try, but I feel alive in a way I never did before. This is where I belong, for now at least. With humans, with friends, with people who care." The settlement began to thrive as never before. Humans and aliens built schools, farms, energy stations, and recreational areas together. Leora's guidance ensured that cooperation was not just temporary, but a foundation for the future. The story of the neglected daughter who had become a symbol of unity reached far across the galaxy. People and aliens alike spoke of her bravery, wisdom, and compassion. Children dreamed of being like Leora. Adults were inspired to work together, and leaders began to consider diplomacy over conflict. And somewhere on Zelaria, the Queen watched silently. She did not yet intervene. Perhaps she was proud. Perhaps she was unsure of what to do next. But she could not deny the truth. Leora, once neglected, had surpassed expectations. She had become a force for good in ways the Queen could not have predicted. As the sun set over the human settlement, Leora stood on a hill, looking at the horizon. She felt strength, hope, and determination. She had found her place not as a shadow of her mother, but as her own person, capable of guiding, inspiring, and protecting others. And she knew the universe was ready to see what humans, aliens, and a single brave girl could achieve together. The morning suns rose over the human settlement, casting warm light over a world that had changed because of a young alien girl and the humans who had welcomed her. Leora stood at the edge of the hill, her golden eyes scanning the horizon. She had grown so much since the day Ethan first took her from the Queen. She had learned, taught, inspired, and led. And now, the galaxy was watching. Her quiet moment was interrupted by a sudden, powerful vibration in the air. The ground trembled beneath her feet, and the skies darkened with a shadow that spread across the settlement. Ethan appeared beside her, alarmed. "The Queen," he said, his voice tense. "She's coming. Herself this time." Leora nodded, her expression calm but determined. "I expected this." "We are ready, Ethan." The Queen descended in her massive, gleaming ship. It radiated energy that made the air buzz and the humans nearby step back in awe. Her golden eyes were sharper than ever, scanning the settlement as if weighing each person's worth. "Leora," she said, her voice echoing across the valley, "you have defied me. You have ignored my warnings. You have become someone I did not anticipate. Return to me at once." Leora stepped forward, standing tall despite the shadow of the Queen's immense power. "Mother," she said softly, yet her voice carried across the entire settlement. "I am no longer the neglected child you left behind. I have learned kindness, courage, and cooperation. I belong here with those who care for me, and I have something to show you." The Queen's eyes narrowed, but she did not strike. Instead, she observed silently, as if trying to understand what her daughter had become. Leora turned to Ethan. "Together?" she asked. Ethan nodded. Together. The next moments were unlike any battle the galaxy had ever seen. But it was not a battle of violence, it was a demonstration of unity, compassion, and intelligence. Leora guided humans and aliens in coordinated efforts to showcase what they could achieve together. Energy systems were combined to create shields over the settlement, protecting everyone from the ship's potential attacks. Bridges were rebuilt instantly, and food and water were distributed efficiently using strategies that combined human technology with Leora's alien knowledge. The Queen watched in silence, her golden eyes wide. Each success, each display of coordination, challenged everything she had believed about power, strength, and leadership. She saw clearly that Leora was no longer a child defined by neglect or fear. She was a leader, a bridge between worlds, and a force for unity. One by one, the alien colonies that had once doubted humans began to arrive. They observed Leora's methods, her calm guidance, and the way humans and aliens worked together seamlessly. Slowly, hesitation turned into trust. Slowly, fear turned into admiration. The Queen finally spoke, her voice softer than before. "You have grown beyond my understanding, Leora. You have shown courage, wisdom, and compassion. Why do you defy me?" Leora looked at her mother, her gaze steady. "Because I want to choose who I am. Because I want to help, not control. Because love, courage, and unity are stronger than fear and power. I respect you, Mother, but I will not be defined by your neglect. I am my own person." For the first time, the Queen's expression softened. She had expected defiance to be rebellion, but instead it was growth, leadership, and morality beyond her own teachings. She realized that her daughter had surpassed her in ways she could not have imagined. Ethan stepped beside Leora, holding her hand gently. "You've done something incredible, Leora. Not just for humans, but for every being who has witnessed this. You've changed minds, hearts, and futures." The Queen nodded slowly. "Perhaps I have underestimated humans. And you, Leora. You have proven that strength is not only about power, but about guidance, empathy, and unity." Leora smiled faintly. "Then let us work together. Humans and aliens can build something new, something better. Not through fear, not through control, but through cooperation." The Queen considered her words. The glow of her power remained, but there was no hostility. Instead, there was respect. A respect earned by her daughter and by the humans who had nurtured her. "Very well," the Queen said. "We shall try your way. I will allow this. For now." In the weeks that followed, the settlement transformed into a center of learning, collaboration, and exploration. Humans and aliens worked together under Leora's guidance to develop new technologies, solve environmental challenges, and create systems that benefited everyone. Children of all species studied side by side, sharing ideas and discovering solutions together. Leora became a teacher, a leader, and an inspiration. Her knowledge of alien systems combined with human creativity allowed innovations that neither species could have achieved alone. Energy grids that were once unreliable became stable and abundant. Farms produced more food than ever before. Bridges, transportation, and communication networks connected planets in ways previously thought impossible. Even the Queen participated, observing quietly at first, then offering her own insights. She learned from Leora's leadership, seeing that her daughter's approach was not only effective but also morally strong. The bond between mother and daughter, once broken by neglect, began to heal, slowly but genuinely. One evening, Ethan and Leora stood on the hill overlooking the settlement. Children played in the streets below, humans and aliens laughing and sharing stories. The air was alive with hope and energy. "You've truly changed everything," Ethan said, awe in his voice. "You've shown the universe that humans are more than what others thought. That compassion, intelligence, and courage can change worlds." Leora smiled, her golden eyes reflecting the suns above. "We all did it together. Humans, aliens, everyone who chose to believe in cooperation. I just showed the way." Ethan looked at her, pride swelling in his chest. "You've become a symbol, Leora, not just for humans but for every being in the galaxy." "I hope so," she said softly. "I want to inspire others to see that even a small act of kindness or courage can make a difference. That even someone neglected or overlooked can grow into something amazing." The Queen approached, her presence both majestic and gentle. She looked at her daughter, then at the humans and aliens below, and finally spoke. "You have exceeded all expectations, Leora. You have taught me more than I thought possible. Perhaps I can learn from you." Leora reached out and took her mother's hand. "Then let us learn together, Mother. Not as ruler and child, but as beings working for a better galaxy." The Queen nodded, a faint smile appearing for the first time in centuries. The bond between them, once strained, had begun to heal, not through fear or authority, but through respect, guidance, and shared purpose. As the weeks turned into months, humans and aliens formed the first interstellar council, guided by Leora's vision. Together, they solved conflicts peacefully, shared resources fairly, and built systems that promoted cooperation rather than competition. Leora's influence spread across galaxies, inspiring others to follow her example. Ethan often reflected on the journey that had begun with a single, neglected child. He had seen humans' courage, creativity, and kindness on full display, and he knew that this was only the beginning. And Leora? She had found her place, not as a pawn in her mother's game, nor as a child defined by neglect, but as a leader, a teacher, and a bridge between species. She had become proof that humans, despite their seeming fragility, could change the galaxy in ways even the most powerful alien rulers could not imagine. One evening, as the sun set over the settlement, Leora stood on the hill once more, her eyes shining with hope. Children played in the streets, humans and aliens laughed together, and the energy of a new era filled the air. She felt strength, courage, and determination. She had discovered the true meaning of family, friendship, and leadership. And as she looked at Ethan beside her, she knew this was only the beginning. The universe was full of possibilities, and she was ready to face them, confident, compassionate, and unafraid. The story of the neglected daughter who became a symbol of unity spread far and wide, reminding everyone that strength was not measured by power alone, but by kindness, courage, and the ability to inspire others. Humans had proven themselves. Aliens had learned from them, and a new era of cooperation and hope had begun. In the end, it was not fear or domination that shaped the galaxy. It was a girl who had been given a chance, a human who had guided her, and the willingness of many to believe that together, they could achieve greatness. And that was how a neglected daughter, once a mere gift, became the spark that lit a new era of peace, understanding, and endless possibilities.